Hello, and welcome back to episode 45 of Greatest FTB Infinity Evolved Expert Mode series, and I'm almost getting the hang of saying that. In fact, let me just turn up the audio before I forget. My zombies were annoying me. You'll see why in a moment. So I continued to do the bone-numbing, mind-numbing part of Blood Magic off-screen, as and when I could. Oh, look, there's a zombie just falling off. I wonder why that is. We'll come back to that. So, yeah, I've built everything up. We're now up to Tier 1, obviously, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, or are we? We're going to come back to that. So, in this altar, which is going to be my crafting altar, I've got augmented capacities in the first ring. Each of these provides an extra 2,000 capacity to the altar, all 8. That's 16,000 capacity. Okay, simple maths, along with 10,000 in the altar itself. So the altar can now hold 26,000. Around these, we've got Rune of Dislocations. What this does is, this altar's inventory, there's another one. This altar's inventory holds 26,000, but there's 3 tanks in here, really. There's the main one, which you can see and use this on, and there's an input buffer and an output buffer. Both of them get changed by Runes of Dislocation. When you first start this, I think you can only transfer 20 life points per whatever time period it is it's based on. It might be per tick. With this, you can increase this quite massively. In fact, to the point that with 20, you're now pumping this out almost as much as you can fill it by using the sacrificial blood orb, or by sacrificing other things. And this is fully my recommendation to get yourself out of early blood magic as early as possible. As long as you're not early game when you're doing this, and this is why I turn the audio down. Let me just back off for a minute. I was doing self-sacrifice initially just to demonstrate things, but you really do want a mob spawner. In fact, let me just turn this audio down so you're not deafened by this one as I get closer. In fact, let's just turn hostile creatures down instead. So, simple mob spawner. Up here, we've got a Tesseract, which is responding to a redstone signal. I've just got to switch here for now. And underneath there is a double chamber. It's a larger one, and then a smaller one, and then a smaller one still. So they all drop into a 1 block space. Underneath here, we've got a powered spawner, and you see things spawning and dropping down, and they're all cohabiting that area at the bottom there. There's nothing else in this chamber, so there's not much point opening it up. And this powered spawner has a double layer capacitor, which speed things up. You could put an octadic in there. If you do, be prepared for 1, power use, which is probably about 3,000 hour per tick, but also the sheer amount of zombies you're going to get. And it doesn't really matter what mobs you use. I may well switch to Thorncraft ones later because they have other drops that I want. I keep on running low on research points and have to manually click on the deconstruction table, which I haven't done that on camera, but it's quite annoying. There's no way to automate it. Much sadness about that. So you'll notice this one has a similar rune setup as to that one. This row is dislocation runes because it affects both the input and output buffer. So this is going to make everything pump out of the altar really quickly and into this altar really quickly. You may wonder why I just do 1 altar then. Well, above that, I've got a ring of 8 sacrifice runes. Sacrifice runes. They are going to basically increase the amount of life I get for every kill. So what I tend to do is start with this row over here, and I start using this altar as the crafting altar, not that one. Put it in, and then you start to pump in using the same arrangement as over there. Arcane stone bricks and blocks even. They pump out your regular shards, and you start assembling things up. You do this first row, and then you start to get quite a lot for the kills. So you don't need quite as many. You don't need that octadic, the capacitor up there to begin with. But then you start filling in this row, and then you get to a point around about 10 or 15 of these runes in that it starts to pump the blood out of this altar faster than you can possibly fill it, or ish. And your crafting setup doesn't really work very well. At that point, you can switch to this one and craft the dislocation runes for feeding into this one, and then start using this as your main crafting altar. And from here on outwards over there, you just add more and more sacrifice runes to get more and more blood out of each one of them. And over here, well, we can fill this up with extra capacity for now. There is a much better version, a much more scalable version of the capacity rune, well called superior capacity, I think. We're going to come on to that later. For now, it's just augmented because these are easier to create. Now, I did mention at the start, and take a breath. I did mention at the start, tier 4 are we? Well, here's where you're going to get hit a big brick wall in Blood Magic. Up until now, you've just been able to create these with various ingredients, and there hasn't been much of an issue. This glowstone is the first pillar type around the corner, and then the next one out looks, if you look at some of the diagrams, hey, that looks kind of like redstone. I've got loads of those. It's not redstone. It's bloodstone bricks. These. They need ritual stones, which is not such a big deal. Those are just secondary slates, which I can just set this crafting setup to do. That's no big deal. This, however, is the weak blood shard. Weak blood shard you get from making from another weak blood shard. Great. Or bees. Or, yeah. So how do we deal with this? Well, we've got to go to rituals. And rituals rituals will eventually replace this entire thing with something that's automatic that feeds blood in, which is amazing. So we've got to get to them first. And to do that, we've got to make a few different things. To start with, you want to get some more ritual chalk from Witchery. I think you're going to need one of those. And you're going to get one each of the runes from Britannia. They're round ones that we've made before on the altar. And you use this setup, 4 mana diamonds, 4 of those, which are just those Britannia runes put into the altar for a little while, and they change into elemental inscription tools, and a ritual chalk, and you'll get yourself a ritual diviner. This will help you no end. If I shift right click or shift left click, I can change between all the various rituals, and the starting one I want is Ritual of Binding. When you use this on a excuse me, on a master ritual stone, it will then start laying, if I remember it right, usually on a master ritual stone, as long as you've got items in your inventory, it'll start laying out that ritual for you. Much better approach than trying to actually manually put the thing out yourself. So I just want to get a few things for that. One of the ritual stones I'm going to need is, for a second, I can just blacklist you, and then if I put these back through, it should do anything but the slates. So yeah, as soon as that turns into a second level, it should get pulled and put into this chest, and we're going to get stuff there. And while that's going on, because I think I'm getting a bit low, let's just check the blood amount. I was up to like 6 figures blood, but crafting stacks of those blood runes does take it out of things. Yeah, it's into 13,000, which is only half the capacity of this main crafting altar now. So let's go to kill things. And let's see how fast the blood pumps out of this thing. So right click, it's on 0. So let's just click as fast as we can, and things are starting to die. More death. Yeah, more death. And click. 9,000, 8,000, 7,000. See what I mean? It's going to pump all of that blood very, very quickly. You could also find or use the similar techniques that we've used for making emeralds in a Tinker's Construct smeltery, and you could gather blood that way. I think it's the same liquid, so you could use that with some molten hot metal and the same setup we did for that to make blood, and then pump that into one of these, which will go to the other side. So that would be an early way to make it automatic if they're the same blood. If they're not, no worries. This doesn't really take much time to actually kill things through here. There are as many zombies in here. The only downside to zombies is those smaller ones. They kind of get stuck in this area where my vacuum hopper is just collecting some residual liquid XP just for completeness' sake. I've not put a loot system on here to collect the loot. That's why my loot keeps filling with rotten flesh and zombie heads and stuff like that. It's no big deal, but yeah, just bear that in mind that you will fill this up very quickly, but it's going to drain very quickly as well. So let's go and have a look, see if those are coming through. They are, so fine. Let's have a look what we need for the ritual stones then. Remember, you need 4 non-ritual stones for a master ritual stone, and the rest is just obsidian, which is cool. Ritual stones, and you get this 1-to-1 conversion, so that is also cool. So 6 Well, we just need 2 more, but let's go and grab that and order up some obsidian. Hopefully I have enough of it. Yeah, 1k, that'll do. And that should be near instant. My AE2 system, by the way, has continually kept filling. That quarry just produces so much stuff. Where am I? Let's just sort by size. So yeah, my ingots are now up to like 40,000 each. Redstone is 90,000. Lots and lots of sandstone. So yeah, do be aware you're probably going to need to keep crafting those drives, or move to 64k drives. I've not done that completely yet, but I am starting to be honest. We also have, as I've gone up through the tiers, I've been crafting each of the blood orbs. I think I showed you maybe the last episode. I think I crafted these. I'm going to need one of those as well. Crafting the magician's blood orb, which is good enough by far to actually do this. Yeah, if I just hold this, you'll see on the left hand side there's a gauge at the top. That's kind of how full my network is, not so much my altars, but my network, which is to say not a lot, 15,000. When you're making a lot of the these runes and everything, you'll be doing them in, you'll be doing the components in an alchemic chemistry set. Various components, in fact, in here. Let's just look at blood magic. Yeah, so the kind of things you will be crafting are around here. You'll need Crystallos. You will need Magicalas, definitely, and you will probably need a lot of Aquasalis for making the dislocation runes, the blue ones. And that requires you to make Symbol Catalyst, which is, it's gunpowder. But you can duplicate gunpowder using the same thing. So you can use gunpowder, sand, and coal to make more gunpowder. So don't worry yourself too much about that. The important point, however, is that it's going to take 200 LP out of your network, not out of the altar. So if you run out of your life points, it's not too bad for the alchemic chemistry. You won't get any damage. But if you have a ritual running that's using it, and it's continually trying to take that, I think you do get damage, or at least you used to. I'm not sure if you do anymore. Well, we'll probably end up finding out by accident. As is usual. So let's just put you in here. And I'm not quite sure how many of these I'm going to actually need. So let's just make a few. With that. And what was it for the Master Ritual Stone? Where are you over there? It's the same again. Fine. So I shouldn't have taken those out. Never mind. I'm only going to need 1 for now. And 8. I don't think 8's enough. Well, we'll soon find out. Where's my... Yeah, there it is. So, I'm never quite sure of the exact dimensions of the ritual binding. Around about here looks about right. Let's go there and let's see what happens. And it's the ritual of binding. Ritual of binding. No, I'm not getting anything from it, which probably means I've got something wrong, as usual. Let me go and consult the Oracle of Manual of Blood Magic. As usual, I forgot the easy part, which is just clearing out the ground. I forgot that the bottom section is going to be level with the ground. There we go. That looks about the max size. Hold down Shift. Oh, we're going to need quite a lot of stones. And I don't have enough. Yeah. Right. Blank stones 8. Air stones 4 to 5. Okay. 12, 16, 24. Okay, how many of those have been made yet? Hopefully not running out. 10. See how far this gets us. Just so you see some of this on the screen before I cut. 12. That'll be enough to get 12 of those. And right click here. Yeah, that's building them. I'm quite happy that I'm almost sure that used to build. That used to, you used to have to right click continually, but now you right click once and it builds, which is pretty good. And is that all of them? How many have we got? Looks like we're missing some actually. Yeah, we're missing about 3 on the outside, if not more. Do we have any yet? 2, 3. I need another one before I can actually complete it. Now, the ritual binding is the way we're going to be able to get that week. I didn't mention actually why I was doing this. Sorry about that. I should have mentioned. This thing lets us do various different operations. It used to make armor stuff. We'll come to that. But initially, we're going to use it to make something called a bound blade. One of these. And because it's FTB Infinity Evolved, you need to use a sort of a Zephyr through the binding ritual to get a bound blade. The bound blade, in turn, when you're killing things, hey, we've got a handy source of killing things, has a chance to give you a weak demon shard, or whatever they were called. Demon shard? No, not demon shard. I was almost certain it was called the demon shard. Weak blood shard. Demon blood shard. Okay, I was close enough. Weak blood shard is the one we actually want to start with, and then we can duplicate it just using imbued slates. So if I just drop those in there for now, where are they? Take these back. I should be able to duplicate a few times there with that, depending on how much is left in my soul network. 7. Yeah, I don't need all those, but let's see if this solves the issue. Are you complete now? Looks complete. Doesn't make any difference. How many have we got? We should have 24 total. So I've got a feeling that that is going to be an octagon. It is. So that's 16. Plus 8 in the middle is 24. Yes, this is fine. So if we just fill the floor in now, then you're probably going to need this thing to be permanent. You don't always have to have these things permanent, but having a floor is never a bad thing. Yeah, there's also going to be a ritual of unbinding as well. And let's just fill this in. That will do the opposite. It destroys objects, or basically uncrafts them, if that makes sense. So do you just throw this in the sort of the Zephyr, or do you need something other item? I can never quite remember. In fact, I do need another item because I did make it. Weak activation crystal activates low-level rituals. This is the one that requires more stuff to make. Let's just do this. So yes, I did this off camera because this is going to be probably quite annoying for you guys as well. You need to make a lava crystal and throw it in a blood altar. Fair enough. Lava crystal requires warded glass. I said earlier in the series that that was like a one foci. It's not. It's just a crafted item in Thorncraft, which requires Crystallis and Magicalis. That's exactly why I said you needed those. And this center bit is the empty core, which requires some catalyst, which we've made some. And away you go. You make a lava crystal, you make a weak activation crystal, and you shift right click it to grant ownership. Now this should activate this ritual, and then all manner of nasty stuff. There we go. Rush of energy goes through things, and here's where it gets a little bit dangerous. And at this point, it should throw the bound blade out. Except I have a history of this actually just... there we go. I have a history of it destroying things. Because obviously they're in fire. For some reason, I've had them destroy, or they've just gotten out and away from me and off into the void. I suppose this is a bad place to put it, but hey-ho, it's worked. So we've got a bound blade. At the moment, the bound blade looks like a sphere in my hand and a sword in the inventory. What's going on? Well, we've got to shift it to the bound blade mode. Like many of the other bound tools in Blood Magic, these ones. And if you've never used a band pickaxe before, you really should try that at some point when you've got a lot of LP in your network. Do not try it before then. And trust me, that eats through everything that you actually put in front of it. But the Mount Blade, on the other hand, it's 12 attack damage, fair enough, but its purpose is just to get us these weak blood shards. So we can change it into that mode. Let me just make sure I've got enough on my network before I do that. Or at least I've got some in my network. Okay, so if I activate this, it's now in Bound Blade mode. Okay. Yeah, so it's 50 LP a swing. Just bear that in mind. So here we are. Let's see if we can kill some of these and get ourselves something like a shard. Oh, yeah, I've already got 2. So we can turn this back off again and stow it somewhere, never to be used again for this purpose. It's kind of weak. I guess you can use it as a sword, so that's fine, but I don't really need it. All I wanted was the weak blood shards, which we can then... Oh, please don't crash. Shift click in, and you won't work without probably the higher tier orb. Maybe. Let's see if that's... my suspicion is correct, or if I just don't have enough LP in the network. That's the other way of doing this. Probably don't have enough LP. Okay. There wasn't anything else in that. Let's just see what it says. 1500 LP, that should work. Imbued slate, weak blood shard. Let's just wait for this cycle through, make sure all of the options... Oh no. Oh, no. It requires a Master Blood Orb. But that needs a tier 4 altar. Isn't that... That doesn't make sense. Because I need this to make a tier 4 altar. Well, I don't. I suppose I could use... Yeah. Okay, so that's the way it's figured things out. Alright. So what it's basically saying is you need to go and use the Bound Blade to go and get your first set of the weak blood shards. You can't duplicate them until you get to tier 4. Fair enough. So let's put those in there. Take these out. And the rest we just require ritual stones, I remember them rightly. Let's go and grab those and make some up. You go there. And I think that was the recipe, was it? Something like that? Was it? Uses for you. It's split 4 ways. Fine. So just that should do it. And you need the blood orb, which I've moved. Will you work? I should make extra blood orbs. Slightly annoying. Let's see if you will work. Yay! Particles. So that's going to work. And we're going to get 8 large bloodstones. Bricks, blocks, bricks even. So we can put those on the 4 corners. Which might be easier said than done. There we go. And we now should have a tier 4 blood altar. Yay, a tier 4. Which means we can then make the Blaster Blood Orb, which we can then duplicate those up. And I can go ahead and do the rest of that. And we can then go down, I can take this pool away, and make the tier 5 kind of blood runes. You will need, so what you will need on top of this block, these blocks don't have to be here. On top of this block, you're going to need to put beacons in all 4 corners for the next one. And then on this level of these blocks, you want the blood runes to make the next level. But on this side of things, on the crafting altar side, probably speed runes or capacity runes, depending on what you need to make, if 26,000 is enough. And on that side, more and more and more sacrifice runes, and lots of zombies keep bouncing out. So yeah, hope you all like that and find that easy enough to do. That's probably, if it's been mostly blood magic this episode, hasn't it? No, I haven't really got into much other stuff because I've just been doing so much off camera. I've had a lot of comments through just while I've been in between the episodes, just making lots of buildy type stuff for how to even further optimize this. And one of the commenters called Denilho1 has just gone completely overboard with very good suggestions on how to optimize these even further with other mods. But we can start probably with Steve's factory manager. In fact, my inventory is just completely full. Let me clear that out. So we're going to start with a very simple use for Steve's factory manager. We're going to just automate that. You'll see I've got the mob there. The main thing you're going to actually need to craft is just Steve's, let's go factory. His inventory manager itself, and in this pack it happens to need resin energy cell frame full. So it's kind of about the same kind of cost as a Tesseract and an advanced computer which requires an engineering processor. So you're going to need to be in AE2 to do this anyway, or at least to the engineering processors, so you need to be in the inscriber stage anyway. And once we craft those, we're also going to need one of a redstone emitter, and we're going to need an item valve, not the rapid one, we don't need that. And if we pop up here, I've just put them down just so you can see. We've got the inventory manager here, the item valve on this side, and the redstone emitter on this side. The item valve, it basically treats a block of space around it as its own inventory. So it's useful for detecting items. In this case, I want to detect items that are in there, and the range of this is about 3 every direction. So anything including this block will be detected, and 3 that way, etc. I'm not sure about up and down, but that shouldn't really matter too much for this use. So let's just set this up. And again, this is one of the simpler use cases for this. So we want a trigger, and I'll just move that around. We want a condition, move that around. You can label these if whatever you want. And we want 2 redstone emitters. One here, one here. So trigger, we're just going to set this to be an interval of 1 second. So it's basically going to trigger that every 1 second. And it's going to trigger to check this condition. This condition, we're going to choose the item valve. And doesn't matter about target. And items, we're going to say, I want quartz. Oops, that's not how you spell quartz. Quartz seeds. And so I'm going to grab that one, and I'm going to grab that one. Now right click on them and change them to fuzzy. If you don't do that, the whole thing doesn't work. I was puzzling how I selected fuzzy. It's just a right click on the actual item once you select them. And changed if any. Then we're going to have true and false from the bottom of this. So if we drag true to this one and false to this one, then in here we're going to select the emitter that we've attached, and that's going to be 15 fixed. And on this side we're going to select the same emitter and say output is, well, 0. And I think that's enough to do it. Let's give it a go. So what should happen is if this seed is nearby, it should light up this redstone emitter, which in turn will turn on this, which in turn will turn on these. Will you work? Yes. There we go. So now these are online. There you get the sparkling lightning effect. And if I pick this up again, off it goes. Just to double check that, do we need the trigger at all? I just want to double check it because, you know. Yeah, we do. I was just making sure that we couldn't just have a condition to start everything. Obviously, it seems to be fairly obvious because you need some kind of input for the condition here. It won't let you select it otherwise, so that's just fine. And there it is, it's working again. So now if I just put all these into the system, I was using them manually earlier, I just wrote them out so that I could do this. We put them into the system automatically exports them out there, and you can see it's already on. And as soon as they get crafted, they'll get absorbed back into the system, of course, and it'll turn back off. All automatic. All very, very cool. And once again, thanks to Denilho1 and many others for suggesting lots of improvements for the crystal growth accelerators. We will be doing more with them, I think, just to make it even funkier. There's a way to save even another channel here, just by using another interface or changing the interface type. That's fine, I'll come up with that later. Obviously we're going to be expanding the auto crafting from just these few to a great deal more, so that's often useful. And either this cable or one of the others is going to need dense cable soon, so I will upgrade those. And maybe we'll cover P2P stuff at that point. But yeah, I think that's enough for one episode. We've got, obviously, automated... Well, not automated, but automated zombies, I suppose. A crafting altar over here, a blood-letting altar over here. Over here we've got our first rituals. There will be an unbinding ritual, but I won't need those until the armor stage. And we've got blood blades to get our actual shards. So yeah, I think it's been a pretty decent episode. If you'd liked it, a thumbs up, otherwise thumbs down. Feel free to leave comments below, lots of suggestions, maybe much in blood magic to actually look at, including the eventual demon invasion, which I didn't cover before in previous seasons because it wasn't there really, or was very, very early. Blood altar, blood magic. Yeah, so there's lots of stuff in here that we need to cover. And the other thing I didn't cover, I think, in the previous ones was crystal bell jars, the alchemical wizardry side of things. That's also good to actually do as well. So if you've not subscribed and you want to, feel free to. Otherwise, just feel free to follow me on Twitter at Greatester, and you will get a lot of these episode notifications out. Yeah, that's going to be filling up soon as well. I'm just adding to more and more machinery down here. This is just a resonant redstone furnace, just so I can make things like glass really easy. I'm going to actually do all resonant versions of these machines, I think, now, as we've got everything running. And yeah, we'll start to do some automation, or massive automation, if you like, of that sort of thing. Just replacing our crafting room from logistics pipes over time. I'm just not going to cover it on camera, you know, you get the idea. Other than just to say, to improve the speed of these, just go into here and craft these augments, these three, the dial augments, if you like, and they will get you going. Once again, thanks for watching.